one thing is, I think the big mistake a lot of people make is you can't buy talent. So it's like you can't expect that you're gonna see somebody's photos. Like the question you always see online a lot of times is when you see a great photo, people ask, "Ooh, what camera or lens did you use to take that?"
Okay.
Just because you have that same camera and lens does not mean you're going to get that same type of photo. And so one thing I always tell people is, because they'll ask me like, "Oh, should I upgrade or should I buy this lens or that camera?" I'm like, learn the equipment you have front to back, and then learn how to use it. Learn its limitations and sometimes advantages to some of the bigger cameras. So that's where that's one of the biggest tips I think I can give anybody is just learn your camera. Because a lot of people, they'll want to upgrade because they don't know their camera 100%, so they don't know really necessarily what it's capable of, or even how to get around certain features to do certain things with it that some of the better cameras, I guess, or the more feature-rich cameras will do.
Right.
So that would be one of the biggest things. And then I think the second thing too is not necessarily the camera, but it's like your interaction with your subject. That reads through the camera, And so no matter what lens or camera you're using, if there's no rapport there, and if there's no comfort level, to a certain level at least, that's going to come through. And so you're just trying to avoid that at all costs and make sure that there's something there. Because I don't like wasting my time, just snapping photos and there's nothing there, and the person has dead eyes and there's no expression.
Right.
Then I'm just wasting my time.
Interesting. So you feel like that energy really translates through the camera.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because I wouldn't think that would be such an evident part of it, but it sounds like that's something you've run into quite a bit.
It's huge because
so much so that you're saying that's a pro tip. That's something that you would like. 100%. And you talked about that even with the drinking water ahead of time.
Yeah.
Getting good rest. Yeah. Like that you got to come and bring your A game.
No, well, that's the thing is that even though the camera can do all this stuff for you, it can't. It still is only just a box recording what you put in front of it. And so what'll happen is if you're working with somebody, like I shoot tethered when I'm doing headshots or portrait work, so that I can even show my client, just like go back and forth, toggle between here's a good shot, here's a bad shot. And I explain to them why a certain shot is better. Because a lot of times they come in and they're not versed in what makes a good shot necessarily. Or with actors, like what their agents are looking for. Because what they might like is totally not what their agent's going to like.
Oh, okay.
Because their agent might want to promote them a certain way, where they might be like, "Oh, I like this because I'm really goofy," but the agent might be like, "I don't want you looking goofy because we need you like this kind of roles is what would fit you really well."
Right. So you're having those conversations with the agents then?
No, just
from what they've been telling.
But what I've been telling, getting feedback.
Okay.
Because one of the things I'm also kind of big on is the like networking, and not just through like social media and stuff, but like face to face. And so every so often I'll go into agencies and just kind of like just touch base with them, maybe bring them some donuts or something and just be like, "Oh, hey, it's been a while. I just wanted to stop in, see if you guys have any advice or critique on some of the photos that have been coming through from your clients."
So these are some of the places you shoot with already. Okay. Gotcha.
And so that way I can get feedback from them. But then at the same time, you as a photographer, you have your own likes and dislikes. Right. So I tell people all the time, if you want a certain look where it's like outside in the park with flowers and everywhere kind of headshot, that's not the type of headshots I do. So, you're going to have to go to somebody else.
Oh, you can make it to that level of you might want to find somebody else.
Yeah, because I'm not going to like try and shoot something I'm not comfortable with or good at just because that's the look they want.
Interesting.
I'm just like, go to who's going to do that. Don't like necessarily come to me.
Yeah, that's something that's pretty classic with agencies, with photographers, with people who write. It's kind of like, check out some of the stuff I have done.
Sure.
Put your expectations somewhere in that camp because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel just for this project.
Sure. No, exactly. And that's the thing is, that wasn't always the case. And I mean, it's taken me, 13, 14 years to get here to this point where I can pick and choose the clients I want.
Mm-hmm.
I can pick and choose who I want to shoot with, how I want to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only shooting really what I want,
mm-hmm.
unless I'm forced to shoot stuff like. I have one more brother who's unmarried,
mm-hmm.
and so my mom's like, "You're going to shoot his wedding."
You have to shoot his
wedding. I'm just like, I don't shoot weddings, but in that case, kind of like I have to.
Right.
Or like, my brothers or sisters will be like, "Hey, we're coming to town for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Be ready to shoot some family pictures.
We need some family photos.
We're going to need for our Christmas
cards." Isn't that the worst though? Like I used to try being a photographer a little bit back in the day, and I always realized like. The moment you have a camera, you're not in any of the photos. Or the moment you have a camera, it doesn't matter what's happening, you're working.
I know.
And it's like,
I know.
And you also don't want to just hand it off to everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not going to be a good photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, they might break your camera in the process.
No, and see, so that brings up two good points. One is, so we have a son, he's 20 years old. So I was talking to my wife a little bit ago, and we're like, when he gets married, I will bring a camera and shoot, and like at the wedding,
right?
But I would not shoot the wedding, just because I want to be there and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And there's been weddings even for family, like some of my brothers and sisters,
right? Where
I was like, I would have loved to just be there as a guest,
right?
Instead of be there to work,
right?
Because then like my wife's kind of sitting by herself, so I'm always running around and stuff, So it just makes it really tough.
And there's no in-between moments either, because you're moving to the location and you're preparing, you're shoving people out of the way.
Exactly.
Whatever it might be.
Exactly. So there was that, and then the thing about the camera is, so like I will bring like my film cameras with me when we travel, or something like my Leica, which is a rangefinder. So it's manual focus. It's all manual. So I have a hard time letting somebody use that. One, because it's kind of spendy, and then two, if you're not familiar with that and you're just like point and shoot guy or like iPhone shooter, it's going to be a little tricky to try and get that just right. So I try and focus it and get everything right where I'm standing, and just be like, okay, stand right here, just push this one button. But even then, it still doesn't always come out the way I want it.
It's very manual at that point. Yeah, because you got it highly configured.
Yeah. So
you did bring a toy. What is this guy?
This is the Leica M10. It's the one I carry with me everywhere.
Okay.
And so it's a digital. I have the film version. Also, it's an MP, the film version. So it's almost like the same, and it's just very well built and solid camera. And I love monochromes out of it. That's why it's one of my favorites to shoot.
Can I check this
out?
Oh
yeah, and it's all brass.
It's pretty heavy.
It's stout
for a camera.
It's very stout.
Interesting. So what do you? This is then a digital, or this is analog?
This is the digital.
Okay, this is the digital one.
Yeah.
What do you like about this?
The simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of forces you to get back to the basics. And then the other thing I like is that all the controls that I mainly use, ISO, shutter speed, and aperture in the front, they're all on top here. So I never even have to go into a menu to change anything. It's all just knobs up top.
Okay.
It just makes it easier. Makes it quicker. I don't need you don't need a lot of the menu stuff. For certain things, sure, they're great. And you need to go in to tweak certain things that you might want.
But those are more one-time
settings. They're not everyday use settings. So once I have it set up, then I just use like that. So I know that I just turn it on and I can start shooting
now,
in most situations.
If I remember right, higher ISO is going to give you a little more noise in the photo.
Yes.
Lower ISO is going to reduce that noise, cleaner. So one of the ISO goals is to always have it as low ISO as possible. Is that accurate to say, or is there a certain ISO range that's okay to be in? Yeah,
no, to an extent. Like, I don't think there's, as long as it's not distracting, or like I'll even shoot inside, especially monochrome is great for even like heavy ISO or heavy grain, or so I'll even shoot that at like 3200.
Okay.
And you can buy film in that speed as well. That'll be ISO 3200. And the grain, I think, to an extent, will add to it, because especially on film, it's a little more pleasing, and it's not so pixelated like it would be in a digital image.
Right.
So the grain structure is just more organic, and it just has a better feel to it.
Right, so it doesn't feel like digital noise. It just feels a little bit like...
just like noise.
A characteristic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so what's funny to me, too, is that there's everything's like sharper and better optics, better sensors, better whatever.
Higher resolution.
And then, but then when people post them, they dumb them down by adding filters to them or tweaking them or adding grain.
Right.
You know, so I get that, and I think it's part of there's just something about a non-perfect image that has a better attraction, I think. Like even when I'm shooting like Polaroid stuff, sometimes it's unexpected what you're going to get, especially with the older film, or even expired film in the cameras that I use.
Yeah, I heard that's kind of one of the things is using expired film gives you those unpredictable results.
Yep, and I have like a drawer full of expired film.
Okay.
Just when I'm shooting, and so you roughly know what you're going to get, but it's still like the older the film, it'll have color shifts. Some of them, like there was one that at some point when it was frozen and unfrozen, it got water droplets in it. So then when it was processed, it had these like water streaks in it, which certain of them totally like ruined the image. Right. But other ones, it was like, dude, this makes the image.
Wow.
So you never know with expired film.
Yeah, and then you're doing hashtag no filter.
Yeah.
Like really no filter.
Yeah,
just
really
expired film.
Exactly.